right, let's talk a little football tonight here on From the Pink Seats podcast. Jacob Lane, Matt McGavick, Vince Lococo, the original three fellas. How we doing?
The
It's like
the core three.
the core three. Yes, that's right. It's a big three, but we all know that it's really just Big Me. So, no, but how we doing tonight? It's
Wow.
great to see you all.
Wow. Well,
Vince,
personally, I miss
Man.
Keith. I miss
yeah,
Keith. Miss
yep,
having
Yeah,
our
I
fourth
missed
one.
too after that comment,
Yeah,
Jacob.
right, man.
Gosh. Hashtag bring back Keith.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I
Well,
had to state
I
my
think the
allegiance.
Wi-Fi is good and set up now. Apparently Spectrum was working on something, so we shouldn't have any connection issues on my end. And
Okay.
Knock on wood, sir.
and you missed it, Jacob. We're back on Zoom. There was a whole 5 minute fiasco of me just trying to figure out how to connect my mic and my headset just because we haven't been on Zoom in probably a month. So
That's
it's good to
right.
be back.
Right. It is. It's nice to not be live. And so, like, if I accidentally fart or, if I have to tell my son to go back to bed, it's not everybody in the world is seeing that. So there are benefits of
Or
just
if
doing the
Maynard
show
decides to
regularly.
bark his ass off.
Right. I can edit that stuff out. That's post-production, right? So that's great news. Well, hey, we're glad to be back. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hopefully you've caught a live show. If you're new to the show and this is your first time listening to just a regular old podcast, we welcome you and we're excited to have you here and talk Louisville football with you. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Pink Seats Pod. And of course, check out the YouTube channel where you can find the video version of our podcast at the State of Lou. And then, of course, if you want to give us a follow at Jacob Lane08, at Matt_McGavick, and at Vincent Lococo. We talk nothing but Louisville football on this podcast, and that's what we're going to do tonight. There's not a ton to really get into, like news-wise. I think part of why this podcast is happening is I'm finally like a little interested in conference realignment. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the UNC Board of Trustees just going full heel, like no pun intended, and just being like, fuck the ACC. We want out of here. To me, I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about that a little bit. That's fun. Let's unpack that. So we're going to talk primarily, or at least a good chunk of that tonight on the show. And then, it's list season. Like that is officially where we're at in the off season right now. But one of the things, if you guys remember last year that I talked about as we got closer to the ACC media kickoff was how Louisville was going to be it was going to be hard to place Louisville because we didn't really know what Jack Plummer would be, right? I told you guys they're probably going to be picked somewhere much lower than where they'll end up. And that's because it's just, you got to have the teams that get voted to the top. Typically, there's a lot more confidence in their quarterback. There's a list from 24/7 Sports of the top ACC quarterbacks kind of after spring football. And I'm actually a little bit shocked at where Tyler's falling on this list. And so I want to get Charles' opinion on that. We'll talk about that later. And then, in the kind of same context as the ACC, I think that this is a really important football season for every conference, right? But for the ACC, as kind of now the new, everyone's like shifted to us as the Pac-12. Like, like eventually this conference is going to no longer
ticking.
exist.
Clock's
Right.
ticking.
And everybody's just watching, waiting for that day. But it's really important for this conference, the top of the top, to be where they should have been all these years, right? Florida State, Miami, Louisville, that's going to make everything better. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. There's some big games to kind of watch, I think are very monumental to the future of the ACC. I know it sounds kind of crazy to say, but like taking this game by game and making this conference, competitive again at the top is going to be extremely important. So all of that to say, let's dive into some fun stuff, Vince. This is straight from you here. College football, the video game is back, right? College football 25.
Yes. Yes.
And as you're listening to
So
this, the
excited.
news is out of what is to kind of make up
What
this
news?
game.
What
But
news? We don't know. It could
exactly,
be a
we have no
trailer.
idea.
Could be a trailer. Could be a cover. Could be, all 99 lists. We don't really know. Don't know. I'm
Yeah.
excited though.
I'll take anything at this point,
Who
man.
would be like a 99 overall player in
Oh.
college football 25?
Travis
I think-
Hunter would
Ooh.
100%.
I would say Travis
be
Hunter,
your all
maybe.
Yeah.
99. Just because you get to wide receiver and he gets DB.
Well, they let him
yeah.
in the game
attributes.
play both. See, that's the
Oh,
thing.
absolutely.
Well, you say
Absolutely.
that, but you can't go in Madden right now and make a corner a wide receiver in the depth chart.
that's
game.
Madden.
You have to
That is-
make.
that is
I'm
true.
just saying. I'm just saying. Look, you can't go make Patrick Ricard a fullback and then put him on the defensive line. That doesn't happen in Madden, right? So I'm hoping they fix that for this. Taysom Hill's another great example of that. But yeah, I'm hoping that they will give position versatility. Travis Hunter is dope.
And I need a Heisman mode too. That's another thing. Is a Heisman mode so we can play with Lamar and some of the past Heisman winners that we didn't get to enjoy of previous years. Like imagine playing with the all 99 Johnny Manziel from back in the day. That just
Yeah.
Ooh.
You think
I
they'll put
mean-
OJ Simpson in there? Let you be
Wow.
getting the
it's,
juice
good
loose?
it's a good thing this is on Zoom and not live.
Well, I'm just asking a question, man.
Going
It's a
straight
Heisman
into
winner.
it.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Well,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think they'll skip
Reggie
over
Bush?
the juice.
Will he be in there?
100%.
Will
He
he
will
have
be
his
in on
Heisman
that.
Trophy, or will that be like a mode where he has to chase it, to get it back?
That would be
like
hilarious. That would be so.
That would be funny.
It has
It's like
nothing
a-
to do with football. It's just court documents and stuff.
right. It's just like the equivalent of like Mario, but it's just Reggie Bush chasing after his Heisman Trophy. That's incredible. But the cover is going to be really interesting because I think for the most part, at least for me, I thought it was going to be a historical cover. Like, who do they go back out of the 10 years essentially that the game has missed, and who do they put? Who do they pick? Is it Lamar Jackson feels like a choice. You've got some others that are out there. Baker Mayfield.
probably,
Yeah,
Kyle
right.
Murray.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some of those guys. And
Well, I'm
there's
pretty sure
obviously
they've
been
got a
some weapons,
Heisman
too.
edition coming out where that might be their cover.
Yeah,
Okay,
right. I saw that one is like $126 for that
Yeah,
version of the
150.
game.
I want
150, is that what it is?
150.
Well, look, you guys have
listen. I just gotta hear what all is included. If it's like a bunch of like things that like, do you play Madden, Jacob? Like if it's like
of course I
okay,
play
if it's
Madden. Yes,
if it's like
year
if
round.
it's like a Madden Ultimate Team type based thing, like I don't know about that. 'Cause
I'm not really into that
that's-
either, man.
That's just a cash grab mode right there. But
Yeah,
I got to hear like what they're offering for 150 because if it's something cool,
Yeah, if
it's
they're
been a
offering
decade
podcast
since
guests
it
for
came out.
150, I'm down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Look, what we got to do? We got to set up the first college football tournament on the Pink Seats podcast edition, where we have everybody come in who like media. Let's just do it to media, right? We invite our media friends, set up some TVs. I need everybody that has the system.
I'm kicking
'cause
all
I
y'all
don't.
asses just first and foremost.
You got to let me get adjusted to the new system. See, that's what I'm saying. This is really challenging for me because it's not just the game. I don't get to just go and buy the $59.99 or whatever the price is of the next gen game like you guys do. I have to go buy the damn system, or else I'm not going to get to play this. So that's an ongoing thing with my wife. She did ask me. My birthday is next Friday. By the way, if anybody wants to buy my PlayStation, I mean, go for it. Right, 31 is a
And
great,
this is my
great
Cash
year
App and my Venmo.
right. Venmo underneath, But my wife was like, if that's what you want, we can do that. But that'll be like your birthday gift, Father's Day gift, and I'm like, oh, I gotta think about that. There's a lot of things out there that
that shouldn't be thought about.
I know, but like a trip, a
yes.
vacation. I know.
It's a
Look,
yes.
yeah. Okay.
The
All right, I'll
only
tell her.
reason I got the system in December last year around Christmas time for myself was because of NCAA. I was like, I'm gonna have to get it. I'm gonna buy the game. I would rather not have to buy the game and the system at the same time. So that's
Wow, you're a lot. Man, I did not do
Meanwhile,
that.
I'm looking
And
up both at my PS5 and my Xbox Series X.
yeah, of course you are,
wow.
man. I know he's just the
This
football
guy over here.
nerd over here, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited about that. And then, of course, the other one, Vince, that you had in here was the cover. What I was getting at is it looks like it's going to be multiple guys on the cover. This leak has Quinn Ewers, what'd you say, Donovan Edwards, and then
Donovan Edwards, the Michigan running back
of Michigan, and then Travis Hunter, which I think I'd say those are three of the biggest names in college football. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't really think there's anybody else that I would say like takes precedent over them. Obviously we know our boy Art said I gotta focus on football, so don't put me in the game. So he's not on the cover.
What a loser!
Right, what a nerd, man.
Yeah, I think like the only two other players I could think that might have a say and maybe get on the cover would be like Dylan Gabriel or Ollie Gordon. But
if
that's it.
If Dylan Gabriel's on the cover, it better be him getting sacked in Cardinal Stadium. That's all I'm saying.
Monty breaking his collarbone on the last play of the game, trying to.
I didn't go
trying to bring
there,
it
but
back.
you went there.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that's what happened. I'm not.
I
saying
wouldn't
that's
mind.
not what
I wouldn't
happened.
mind. I wouldn't.
He's
mind
already going
Nick
the OJ
Saban.
route, so we know Jacob's unhinged tonight.
Look, we're unhinged tonight, man.
I wouldn't mind Nick Saban. I know people were shitting on it and thinking it's kind of dumb to put a coach on there, but I mean, he has been college football for the past how many years? And I mean, it only if we're gonna do anything like I don't know. I think
he's got to split the money or give it to some type of NIL collective or something. Or else we're just giving Nick Saban more money.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
But the
that'd be
second point on here was the soundtrack, Jacob.
Yes, I'm excited for that.
Oh my gosh, the tweet where I saw that you can just close your eyes right there and just hear the loading screen and see it. I mean, you could just see it. You see your NCAA 14 loading screen. You're picturing Denard Robinson and stuff on the front. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
this
man.
I cannot wait for this to be on the next
We're almost
system.
there. Well, we're there
Yeah.
now because people are listening and they know what's in the game.
Oh, did you add
Matt
the
knows what he's
banner?
going to get.
The banners too. Did you guys see those going up around
I
campuses?
did. Yeah, I
That
did
was
see that.
hilarious. Like
No, I didn't.
first tweet I saw was well, there are a bunch of banners going up around campus, Matt, just advertising the game, what all they're
Wow.
putting into it, stadium, jersey combos, stuff like that. And first tweet was like, oh, this will be in some college dorm, stolen by a kid in the middle of the
I
night
do
at
remember
like
that.
3 a.m.
Yes.
The very next day, you see a tweet of it like hanging in someone's room and it being ripped off. I mean,
Hey,
I
man,
remember
you got to
that
do what you got to
now,
do. Football guys doing what they got to do. All right, well, let's jump into the first part of the show here. And this is a little bit of a throwback. We've not done this segment in quite some time. And this was what we used to do to kind of bring news when we didn't have time to talk about it into the show and kind of quickly run through topics. So that's what we're going to do tonight. The big three. We are back. So let's start right here from Sports Illustrated. The headline, North Carolina trustee wants out of ACC. I was very intrigued by this story, guys, this week as realignment talk has kind of started to come back into the forefront because nobody has anything better to do. And it is the spring meetings in the ACC conference. So all the, big folks at the table there.
Did you hear what Dabo just said today? I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, I think I did.
Yes,
I did.
I did hear.
We signed like 15 transfers this year. They're all high school. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Everybody's a transfer somewhere. I love that. It's just the most Dabo Sweeney thing. If you don't know what we're talking about, I don't know
what's up with him and the Carolina guys, but like Seth is like just like that.
It's just these nerdy.
But at least Seth used the portal,
right?
Facts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but look, the real quick before we jump into this, I mean, it's 0 transfers taken by Clemson. 10 outgoing. I think that's the other thing. Like, as much as we make fun of what this is, the retention there is elite. Like, they have focused their model is bringing in high school kids at the top of the recruiting level, developing them, getting the most out of them, and keeping their NIL money in house versus going and, paying kids in the portal, which is the trend across all of college sports right now. Just essentially rebuilding your roster. Look at what Louisville's doing on both. Right. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how his system, like, he might get the last laugh here because, as our good friend Keith says, high school recruiting is still the lifeblood of college football. Like, that is so important. And schools have decided to not prioritize it. And we'll see, again, 5-10 years, what does that look like? So, but let's talk a little bit about the ACC, right? So UNC Board of Trustees have been meeting, and they recently have approved an audit of the school's athletic department and are really starting to try to dive into their finances. And what they're realizing is that there's a real imbalance in the way that money is distributed across the ACC. The schools at the top of the ACC are not the schools at the bottom of the ACC, and yet Boston College is being paid like Clemson, and you're this discrepancy start to be created to where eventually everyone is kind of looking around and staring at the ACC, and the ACC is like, what? And they're like, there's no seat for you here. You need to leave. And that's where we're kind of starting to get. And the ACC members at the top, Clemson, Florida State, and now North Carolina are really starting to put their money where their mouth is, literally, in terms of questioning this. So there are, I think it's like 5 or 8 lawsuits that are currently ongoing between Clemson, Florida State, and then the ACC. And then you have countersuits that are in that. And really what everybody is trying to do from the school side is question the grant of rights that keeps the ACC schools locked in until 2036, right? I want to call it the Bill of Rights every time I say it. And I'm glad I did right there. The grant of rights. The wrong document.
I mean, they had the wrong missed opportunity of calling it the football of rights or, tying football into it in some law yeah.
Jeez.
Well, so now an ACC, literally a Board of Trustee member from North Carolina, somebody who is, extremely powerful in terms of the direction of the program. And I'm trying to find this gentleman's name. But he essentially stood up in a Board of Trustees meeting and said, fuck the ACC. They ain't keeping us here. Let's go. And everyone's kind of looking around like, well, he looks like he knows what he's talking about. I mean, no one else is leaving, but I mean, it's kind of convincing. And it's coming back to the forefront of, oh shit, the ACC's got to do something. Jim Phillips is a joke in terms of conference, commissioners. fellas, like, what's the level of concern here? Because I was listening yesterday, and I think it was Jeff Lights. He made the comment like Louisville could very quickly just like get sent back to the American Athletic Conference if this doesn't go right. So Matt, like, what's the level of concern in conference realignment?
I mean, if I'm Josh Hurd, you're seeing all this going on, and I am quickly trying to lay the foundation for trying to find like a back end to like the Big 12 in case like the big red button gets pressed on the ACC, because it sounds like, just based on how boisterous some of the top league members are, like FSU, a Clemson, and now a UNC, and a couple other programs are kind of vaguely interested, like, oh, let's see what these guys are doing. All right, can they really get out of this granted rights? If so, like, maybe we could go somewhere. And it feels like, and now it might not happen for a while, but it feels like the ACC is going to experience some sort of, maybe not a full scale breakup, but a change overall way before that grant of rights expires in 2036.
Yeah, like under over 2.5 years.
Over.
I would say over. I would say
Yeah.
over.
I think
just because these things take
being
forever.
Yeah, there you go. Y'all were gonna say the exact same thing.
Exactly. I don't know. I wouldn't really be like, you all are way more detailed with all the knowledge and everything on this than I am. This is not my realm at all. I'm definitely the football guy. But in my opinion, I wouldn't be too mad dropping down, and like, not dropping down conferences, but if we end up getting bumped to the American for a little while, I mean, all those, look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati ran the table in the American and made it to the playoffs. We can easily run the table in one of those conferences, make out of the conference championship with minimal injuries to our ones and our twos, and then be ready to blow the playoffs up and get a better seed too.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
at the same time,
that's
silver lining in the. Ideally, we get in a bigger conference, like Matt said. But I mean,
the Big 12 is the dream.
Exactly. If that,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
In that scenario, like I totally like, I think that's a really kind of interesting approach to take, in terms of if that's the way it goes, like there is some positives to it in terms of development. But what is so concerning in this landscape right now is this divide that is starting to increasingly become larger and larger between the haves and the have-nots. And schools that were haves at one point, are now being pushed into have-nots. Washington State, Oregon State, right? These schools are joining the West Coast Conference. Oregon State was a top 15 freaking school last year in the country. That was a damn good football team. Now they're on conference,
okay,
right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you say that, but like, to me, like, I'm not really thinking about that ever. Sure. They could play in the WAC, they could play in the Pac-12, they could be playing in the 1AA playoffs for all I care. Like, I'm never thinking about them unless they're in like the top 5 to 6. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
sure.
They're just not, even like Clemson. I don't know where Clemson gets over thinking they're, the blue chip, blue blood program of the ACC. You know what I mean? They've won what, 2-3 national championships with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, awesome. Both those guys are NFL starting quarterbacks right now.
Right.
But I mean, one just got a phenomenal contract 2 years ago, and Trevor Lawrence, is on the way up with the Jags.
Yeah.
So it's not really like you did it with some poverty ass players.
Right. It's just it's very quickly that you can be squashed in this landscape of college football. That's why this year, like, it's going to become very quickly like, what have you done for me lately? What is your 5-year resume? And Louisville, thankfully seems to be headed on the way up. If this was, 3 years ago, it might be a different story. But now you would think that Louisville, would be attractive to a Big 12. And what sucks is basketball is not going to be a part of this equation. But for that,
I don't know how us and Florida State aren't the two most attractive teams in our conference, just in general. I personally
just because Louisville's not like a quote unquote national brand.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a very like regionalized thing. Like, it's not even the top brand in the state, unfortunately. And
I mean, Kentucky's in the SEC. I don't know what.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be hard to compete with that.
It's not like Miami, where like, I don't know if they're not blue blood per se, but I mean, they've got 5 titles and then that speaks for something.
Very true. Very true. But everybody knows they're a joke right now because of Cristobal, and they've been a sinking ship since 2003,
Right.
4.
Yeah,
Ever since they made the jump to the Big East.
Right.
Ever since old buddy got caught paying players, I mean, for their national championships back in the day. I mean,
speaking of which, did you see that he's back? He posted a video that
why would he not be back? He'd be
he should
have a freaking suite.
Yeah, man.
Right.
He's like, no, I'm back and we're ready to do this thing all over again, except for now it's legal. Like this man, what a power play. Be able to come back on the other side of it and be like, what? Here I am again. Let's go. All right, let's move on. Second one here. From Pro Football Focus, our good friends there who provide the data and the statistics that keep Big Matt's stats going here. Is that what's called? Big? I just added the big in front of it. I think I like that.
What is passing?
No, that's a good question to ask because I've got a grade here. I need to make sure it's passing, Matt. What is the passing grade? Can you confirm?
60 is average.
60. All right, 60 is average. So headline here: Storm Duck named as an undrafted free agent to watch for the Miami Dolphins. Both Matt, you wrote about this, but this also came from Pro Football Focus, in which they listed every team and an undrafted player from said team that could make the roster. And it's really interesting. I think if I'd asked you guys who is on this list, if you didn't know, I don't think you would have said Storm Duck. I think you would have said Brian Hudson. You would have said, Brian Hudson. You would have said, I'm drawing a blank of list of names here, but maybe somebody else, right? And yet Storm Duck, who didn't really necessarily have a great pre-draft, but he's listed as a guy for Vince's Dolphins. How about that, Vince? Storm Duck on the Dolphins, man. That's a hell of a name and team combo.
He is out to prove me wrong after Matt and I low-key shit. I'm not going to take the sole blame on this. Matt and I kind of shit on his pro day.
Hey, it's not shitting on him if it's just if you can see with your own eyes what's going on. I mean,
best part about football, Matt, is it's not played in shorts and t-shirts.
Nope, not one bit.
So
that's right.
So if Storm Duck can go out there and do his thing for the Dolphins, I would be more than happy to have a Cardinal alumni on the squad. I will definitely purchase a jersey.
Oh yeah, and he was generating some pre-draft buzz in the 2 or 3 weeks before the draft. So yeah, I can see it.
Heck yeah, man. I'm here for it. I hope he does. Team is, going to be up there mentioned with the Chiefs, the Ravens, some of the other big names in the AFC to be able to win and, essentially appear in a Super Bowl or get close to it. And Vince, I know you're not a firm believer in Tua, and really, I think most people are there with you. But with Tyreek, the weapons that they have, that they're definitely dangerous. And guys like Storm Duck, the thing is you don't have to be great in college to be on an NFL roster and make a team and be able to stick on a team. There are a number of UFL guys that have.
Russ Yeast,
7th round pick,
example for that.
Now a starter for the Rams, right? So, Storm Duck absolutely could become a player to watch there and a guy that develops into a rotational piece. So, all right, last one from the Associated Press: Super Bowl champion Chiefs will open the regular season at home against nobody else but the Louisville Baltimore Ravens in an AFC title rematch, fellas.
Run the damn ball.
Right.
I know we're talking about this, but before we get going on the Lamar Chiefs thing, I thought it was hilarious that when Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are kicking off the season again on Monday night, somebody tweeted, said Aaron Rodgers' Achilles has the opportunity to do the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah, his other Achilles has the opportunity.
You think he'll go back out there with the American flag again?
He's like, run it back. Let's do it again.
Right. I don't know. He might go out there with the QAnon flag. Who knows?
Yeah.
But continue. Continue.
That's fantastic, man. Oh my gosh. What do you think, though? I mean, look, I think it's the Thursday night opener, if I'm not mistaken, on NBC, which is always the Super Bowl champion. That's always because you're just so hungry for football. You got your fantasy team. Vince has already drafted Lamar Jackson #1. We already know. We already know. So he's locked in. But look, I think however many months out we are at this point, about 4 months. Give me the Ravens and the points. They're coming out with vengeance.
So my friend Jordan brought this up to me. He's like, in 2017, Lamar was rolling off a lot of hits and his mobility and everything was a lot better because he weighed a lot less, which is what he's trying to do now. He's down to 215, whatever he said.
205, I think.
Yeah, like 205. What it's light. I was like, oh my God, that scares the shit out of me. But he's like, and what he said made a lot of sense. He's like, maybe these hits are, hitting him a little bit too hard. Maybe he needs to be able to roll and slide and just do different things, with his body. And I don't know. I was worried, and I'm worried about the weapons they have. I mean, the Ravens always worry me. I just don't ever feel confident that they can, make that push to make the jump to win a Super Bowl. I don't know why right now.
And plus, like, facing the Chiefs, going to Arrowhead,
yeah, I hear you.
It's gonna be tough.
It is.
But
It will
a key factor will be how many games will Rashee Rice be suspended for?
Will Rashee Rice be in
tweet.
jail at that point?
What are the things that can stop the Chiefs?
Rashee Rice, yeah. A speedy car.
Fast cars and commencement speeches.
Yeah, right. Man.
What a great ending. This is an all-timer for the big three. That'll do it. Fantastic stuff there. But the NFL, man, I get it that like the football needs the longest off season for the body to be able to rest and like get back to where you need to be. But I hate it so much. It's so fucking long. Like it is so
it's
long,
worse being
man.
A player whenever you're prepping all this shit. Like 2018. Imagine us doing this entire off season, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah. Like, obviously we're thinking about beating Bama and stuff that year, but just thinking about having a good season. You're putting all this effort in and everything, and you go out there and lay an egg at 2-10, bro. You're like, why do I do this? What am I doing? What am I doing right now?
That's gotta be the worst feeling. You go through this whole offseason of preparation, you think it's gonna be like a good season, then you just get mollywopped right out the gate.
I mean, you do more those like people. It's very common. I'm sure Kentucky does it. Other people do it with their rivals. They'll be like, hey, one more for UK, one more for Louisville. Texas will probably one more for A&M, what about one more for Ole Miss? It's like, man, why am I doing one more? What do I need to do one more for? We just went 2-10.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to switch gears real quick here before we go. We'll go to a quick break and come back on the other side. But I'd be remiss to not mention the passing of John Wallace today, former Louisville football kicker, succumbed to a battle with cancer, leaving behind his wife, his young son, and our young child and soon to be born child. Just a heartbreaking story. Just awful, man. 31 years old. Hits close to home. That's us, man. To see that could be one of us. So keep that family in your prayers. It's a lot to comprehend, man. But it's the second player to battle cancer. Pete Nocta, obviously, years ago, but just heartbreaking news to lose a guy that seems to be such a bright light for his family, the community, and was such a great kicker. Holds what is it, Matt? Is it the most kicks? Is that most?
I think
points?
most kicks in a career. Yeah. Most made kicks, field goals.
He also rocked the number 45, man. That's a special number in Louisville and Louisville sports. So rest in peace to John Wallace. God, may his family be with. May God his family. But we'll be back on the other side. All right, we'll roll right back into that. Sorry, I could not do a show without mentioning that. I would feel awful.
Yeah,
so.
We are a football show. Kind of have to mention that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so
exactly.
Okay, cool. All right. We're back on the graphic. Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Go ahead. No, you're fine. I can edit it. It's not live. I can edit it.
Wild how he got his own graphic. That was cool.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That's how you know you're a fucking dog. Because usually they send out like I'm on an email train of alumni that they send out email thread of like people that just die every year and updates and shit like that. So
yeah,
it's just wild that he got his own graphic.
Yeah. Hang on one second. Let me grab a beer. Give me 1 sec.
The Titans. Remember how last year for the schedule release, the Titans did that thing where like they asked people on Broadway.
I just watched it yesterday again.
They did it again this year. Yeah.
What?
Remember how last season the Titans for their schedule release did that thing where they
asked they did it again.
Broadway? They did it again. I'm gonna watch it as soon as this episode is over.
That's awesome.
Great.
All right, here we go. So let me pull this list up. You all have not looked at this, right?
Right.
Nope.
Okay. You promise, or are you lying to just keep me?
No, I really haven't pulled it up. I'm pulling it up now, but
don't look at it until I get here because I want you to guess where he is. Hold on. I need to find him.
Do not read. Please do not read.
Yes,
I could have seen Matt being like, "Oh, fuck what he said. I'm gonna read it anyways."
I listened
You
to
know,
the
it's
show notes.
Okay. All right.
I didn't even see that there.
Okay. All right. Here we go. What's the name of this article? And who wrote it?
I don't know. I can't click on it,
Oh,
asshole.
you can click on it. Just don't read it. All right. Here we go. Blah 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 blah. All right. We are back from the Pink Seats podcast, presented by Frankfort Avenue 2115 Frankfort Avenue. Check them out. And of course, check out Kern's Korner in the Highlands, home of the best patty melt chili in the city, the place to be for racing this weekend. So check them out. But guys, I want to talk about this as well. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's list season. And so we're starting to get, kind of like a power rankings list of the best positions from, to the best teams to whatever the case is. We'll continue to get that all the way up until the season for that gives us something to talk about. Post-spring projections for the ACC quarterbacks. And I found this to be just fascinating based off of where Tyler Shuck was. I kind of alluded to it earlier, might have given it away, or at least given you all kind of a guess of where to kind of place Tyler Shuck here. But I think the same thing goes this year. Louisville football, great defense. You know what you're getting. Quincy Riley, Ash Gelati. You got the running game. You've got an offensive line that's, been rebuilt that looks ready to go. You got defensive line, defense secondary. But then you got this quarterback, right? And he's played a lot of years, but it's been some highs. And then unfortunately, but not to his own doing, some lows with injuries and things. So I want to ask you, where do you all think that Brad Crawford placed Tyler Shuck? Vince, I'm going to let you guess first. Where do you think on a list of 1 to 17, which is the new number of teams in the ACC now, where do you think that he places in terms of starting quarterbacks?
12.
12? Okay. It's interesting. Okay. What do you think, Matt?
I think like 6th or 7th, maybe 8th.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So I think you looked, but maybe you didn't. I don't know.
I swear I did
Okay.
not look.
He's 8th. He is 8th. Okay.
He's 8th.
So
okay.
here are the 7 quarterbacks in front of him. And this might surprise Vince, this might surprise you because you don't follow just as much as Matt does. Surprise me because I follow the portal and stuff, college football closely, but not like I do with college basketball, right? So this might be a little bit interesting. So number 1 is Cam Ward at Miami. Comes from Washington State. Make of that what you will. He was the highest paid player in the portal, number 1 quarterback. And then number 2 is our good friend DJU, right? So talk about Oregon State bringing a little bit of relevancy into the ACC. DJU at Florida State. They were a dynamic team last year at Oregon State with him running that system. And they ran the ball a lot. He ran the ball a lot, but he also threw the ball well. This season, he comes to Florida State. They're missing Keon Coleman, obviously. Some other pieces are gone. Trey Benson, some of the other pieces in the backfield, but he is number 2, okay? And then 3, another transfer, Grayson McCall at NC State from Coastal Carolina.
I forgot Grayson McCall.
I would have loved him to have been Louisville's guy, but he's dynamic quarterback, put up huge numbers with your guy, Tony Washington, wide receivers coach there, Vince, for several years. Yeah, how about that? And then you've got Haynes King at Georgia Tech. Little surprising, but I mean, hey, we saw him last year, what he can do.
He's good. He's a little reckless, but he's good.
They did just get Robbie Bell.
Yeah, okay, that's definitely we got to factor in Robbie. All right, shoot him up the list.
Yeah.
Then you've got Kyron Drones at Virginia Tech, which if you watch the bowl game, I think they lost that game, but I mean, it was back and forth running the football. He was just incredible. And then you've got Preston Stone, which, to be honest, this is the first time I've ever heard of Preston Stone.
Who? Oh, the SMU QB?
Exactly. Who? It's like the Conor McGregor. Who the fuck is that guy? It's yes, the SMU quarterback. In this picture, he has a bloody nose. So that tells me a lot about
gosh, football guy.
Yeah, football guy. But he's coming off of a almost 3,200-yard season, 28 touchdowns last year. Only 2 quarterbacks, it seems, were graded higher than him, or maybe 1 quarterback. Yeah, Jaden Daniels. How about that? That was the only quarterback that graded better than him last year, according to Pro Football Focus. So
he was pretty good.
6. And then you've got Cade Klubnik from Clemson at 7, probably the lowest I've ever seen a Clemson quarterback. We'll see what happens there. I don't know who their backup is,
and that might be a little bit too high.
Average.
They brought in some transfer from high school.
Yes. And then number 8, our good friend Tyler Shuck. So I don't know. maybe that's the right place for him based off of some of the star power. Without seeing Preston Stone, it's hard for me to say. What he
I
knows
don't know.
makes me think he's a real
In my
football
opinion,
guy.
it just seems like it's a bunch of
It's a
like
list.
it seems like
Putting Grayson
he
McCall
took
up
a
that
bunch of
high
names
is
out of a hat that he knew would be like a good top 10 and
Hmm.
just picked those and then followed everybody else in.
Yeah. Okay,
I
I
don't
like that. Then you got Kyle
I mean,
McCord
I
at
agree
9.
with Cam Ward and DJU being 1 and 2, but we said Grayson was 3.
Yep. And then you've
That
got who did I say it for? Haynes
I
King.
mean,
I mean, I have questions about that one
you
too.
also have to take into factor with who DJU was playing last year. He's playing Pac-12 football. I mean, he's stepping back into a considerable big boy football.
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
What are you
they
throwing your
had
hands up
okay.
for me
They had
like that for?
USC, UCLA,
USC won like
Washington.
6 games.
Washington State, if I'm not mistaken, was ranked last
I,
season.
I could not tell you the last time I've turned a Washington State football game on, Jacob.
Washington
Oh,
State was kind of good last year.
yes. Cam Ward was their quarterback. So, if you're talking about just this is the Duke argument all over again with just a conference this time.
I don't. I mean, Pac-12 is stupid.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
also
the
the
only
two-pack
you'll
now.
hear a lot of you'll hear a lot
Utah?
of like college coaches and people say they don't recruit people from the West Coast unless it's a quarterback. And I consider, all that, I group all that together, the Pac-12, even your high school.
Pierce Clarkson with like a word then.
Or if it's a Samoan lineman.
Hasn't played it down.
That's true. He's played a couple downs, but it was against Murray State.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting the perspective of Tyler Shuck. We've beaten the horse to death here with the injury narrative and will he play a full season? I'm convinced that the kid has a lot of talent. I saw there's an article out, I don't know who wrote it, that he is being, somebody is labeling him potentially as like this year's Michael Penix, which that's, he's the 8th pick in the draft. That's high praise. Michael Penix had injury history at Indiana, flashed a lot of potential, and then went to Washington. And obviously for, the 2-3 years he was there, he was fantastic. So I think that Tyler Shuck is going to have a really nice season. Matt, I was reading your bold predictions, and we won't get into this tonight, but one of them was that you think Colin Lacey and Ja'Cory Brooks could both be 1,000-yard receivers. So you think very highly then of Tyler Shuck, right? I mean, that's really high praise.
Because
I mean, 2,000 yards alone between two guys.
Yeah. I mean, that ranking in that piece is just basically, being reflective of his injury history, if you ask me, honestly. Because, I mean, the dude's got NFL size, NFL arm talent. He just doesn't have NFL like production just because he's been
tape, yeah.
He says he's got injury history, but I mean, like we've beaten the dead horse often, like how his injury history is more so like a really bad case of luck, more so than really being quote unquote soft or injury prone, or at least if you ask me, that's the case. So like he's someone who I think when everything is said and done could wind up being like a top 3, 4, 5 QB in the ACC, push to be an all ACC type of guy.
Yeah. I mean, why couldn't he be? I mean, those quarterbacks in front of Vince, how many of those guys are you like? Well, I think you've answered this, and maybe the answer is 0. How many of those guys that
0.
are in front of him are you say are better that you know of right off the bat? Boom. I know they're better.
0. Truthfully, I don't think any of them are really like, it's a new season, new teams, new everything. I'm going to have to see you week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. I mean, preseason predictions are all kind of BS in a sense, but I just don't find, with all the transfers and how everything is, I don't find any validity in saying DJU's a top. DJU 2 or 3 years ago was not a top 2 quarterback in the ACC. He was worse than Malik Cunningham. Clemson would have took. We were talking about how many more games Clemson would have won with Malik Cunningham.
That's more of an indictment on Clemson though, because like he looked good.
I put it on DJU. I put it on DJU because what Trevor Lawrence do in that offense? What Deshaun Watson do in that offense? That's on the quarterback. He was making
but then
bad decisions.
Well, then
did
Tony Elliott leave after Trevor left? Or when did that kind of coincide?
That was 2 years ago. Last year was his second year at Virginia. So, or maybe it was his third year at Virginia. So he was there without Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is what, in his 4th year in the NFL, 5th year in the NFL?
Clemson's offensive system is their offensive system. They just plug and chug an offensive coordinator for a title. It's the defense is the only thing that really has changed with Venables leaving when you think about it.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not putting any weight into DJU being a top 2 quarterback in that guy's list for ACC. I mean,
I think he's good.
Matt, how many of those guys would you take now if I said you can swap quarterbacks? How many of those guys realistically would you say I would take him over Tyler Shuck? Because I think
Cam
the
Ward.
list is small. Yeah, I was gonna say I think the list is
Maybe DJU.
Ward.
Maybe, but Cam Ward, absolutely.
see, when there
Yeah,
was a
'cause it's like
possibility that he would come to Louisville, DJU, I was like, I
oh,
did
Matt was
not.
the
I
conductor of
didn't
that, if
want
I'm not
the.
mistaken, right? Weren't you, Matt?
Yes, I love
I did not want
DJU. I
that
think
at
he's really
all.
good.
Yeah.
We saw that flat-footed dude and how he's got heavy feet. He's flat-footed in the pocket. No,
Matt's like, I just wanted his 5-star edge brother out here, man. That's what
that
it's
yeah.
like.
If we get
Give me
if signing DJU would have got his 5-star edge brother, sign me up for that because his
Right.
5-star edge brother is the truth.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Like
it
I'll take a
is.
couple of years of a flat-footed quarterback who's
Hey,
not very
I can
fast.
convince myself he's good.
But
How much?
look, I'm telling you, there's a scenario this year. He has a fantastic top 10 pick next year. I think there's a scenario where you could say that about Cam Ward. He might be a little small, but Cam Ward, you could say that about DJU. I don't think Grayson McCall is an NFL quarterback at all, but the next one would be Tyler Shuck. I mean, honestly, in terms of an NFL quarterback. So, man, I am burpy. These blue moon lights. I've been trying to watch my figure, not consume like a 200-calorie beer, like 3 of them in a podcast night. Like I just, these are not
Quit drinking the IPAs.
calories. I have had to, man, because they make me feel so old. I wake up the next morning and it's just like I'm hungover after having 2
IPAs
beers.
are also gross. So
Yeah.
No, stop it.
that's
IPAs
the
are
one.
good, but
I
you
love
can't go
beer.
wrong
That's
with
the
a good
one
light
beer I
beer.
won't drink. Well, that and sours, but
Yeah,
Sours is
I
an
don't do
IPA
stouts.
too.
Yeah, I can't
Well-
do. Give me like the lagers. I'll take an IPA, like a hazy IPA. I'll take even some of the double IPAs out there are not bad. But
give me a Guinness.
there you go. You want a
Oh,
milky,
the
milky
Raven.
brown
If you
stuff.
go to the Raven in the Highlands Irish bar. Oh my God.
Well, give me
I
a,
mean,
a Guinness, an Irish red, a stout, a porter, fuck anything. I'll drink anything that's
of that
not an
restaurant
IPA.
is from Ireland, and he's behind the bar pouring your Guinness, and he's talking to you the whole time. It is like
There you go. Speaking of bars in Louisville, man, we gotta pour one out for our homie, the back door. I don't know about you all, but many of nights found myself at the back door, always reluctantly.
That ruined my day.
I know.
I was
it was sad.
I wasn't as tore up about FDKY.
Yeah.
And that's even literally
Right, right, the street
I
from
could
you.
walk
Right.
there, and I was not very disappointed that they closed. But I mean, back doors wings, dude.
And the nachos.
That's
they
elite.
were, oh my gosh.
I've only ate their wings. I'm not gonna lie, they were like some of my Daddy Rich's and back door.
Yeah, the
My
back door
two
was
favorite
fire.
wings down there.
Yeah, and the thing that disappoints me most that they closed is that they robbed us of one last hoorah. Like, because I think if they had announced on Monday that they were closing like on Sunday,
somebody would have went in there
Saturday
and bought
night.
I guarantee
Bro, we
it.
would have been popping. Like everybody would have been like, back door.
Somebody
let's
would have
go.
went in there and wrote a check and bought it. I guarantee it.
It's not
Somebody
too
would have been
late.
drunk off their ass and been like, I can do it.
Fuck it. I'll buy the back door. Yeah, let's go.
I want that wall mural. Just like we need to
right.
buy a
Yeah,
studio and be like, can
someone's
we
got to
cut
save
that
the
out and
mural.
put that in
They've
there?
got to save it.
Rumor has it that whole shopping center is going to be torn down. So I don't know if maybe that maybe they got an
heard those
offer.
rumors too.
Mid City Mall is going to be torn down.
Well, isn't
I
it?
heard
It's like behind. I don't know if it's like the whole thing, but like the back
if they
part
tear
of
down
it.
that gym in the basement, oh my God, that's where we spent hours in college.
Isn't the rumor that they're going to tear that down and turn it into a Publix?
No.
I don't know if I've heard Publix. I thought it was going to be like an apartment. So maybe this is just a rumor.
I will put a stop to this gentrification.
I couldn't get them to, change. I couldn't get them to stop the 5-star changing, but I sure as hell can stop this.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Chain me to the front of the back door like those environmentalists like to change themselves to trees.
No, let's
like,
go.
I will save this
light Matt on fire outside the back door to protest them closing.
Matt, you use Scotch tape to stick your hand to the door, not permanent glue. What are you doing?
That's
oh my gosh. All right. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is I was asked this question last week. I did because I'm so famous now doing all these podcasts, as Vince says. I did the Locked On Little podcast with Dalton. He asked me, I know Matt's a radio whore and I'm a podcast whore. We're just getting around, man. That's what we do right now.
What kind of whore are you, Vince?
He's just a football
I'm just a whore.
Yeah.
Y'all teed that one up right there. I mean, you all wanted me to say that. That's what you all wanted me to say.
So Dalton asked the question, is Louisville a top 25 team in your mind? My answer was yes. And the reason why is because in the trenches, they're solid. Offensive, defensive line, and then secondary alone should win them 7, 8 games just off that alone. Like the fact they're gonna be able to rush the quarterback. Matt, top 10 defense is what, or pass defense is what you predicted in your bold predictions. Look at me reading your articles.
I
did you
know. I'm
service, man.
flattered.
I think I clicked on it like 6 times too. So you got all those extra clicks in there. So I think that alone makes them a top 25 team. Then you add the weapons and everything into there. I think that, the ceiling is extremely high. Vince, I know I'm not into lists and rankings and blah blah. The coach is strong in you. Okay. Like it's like an aggressive coach though. What I just honestly though, just give me your real take.
I think we're like
asked you
15.
Okay, so they're a top
15 to
25 team
20.
in mine.
I think they're like a 15 to 20 with a very, very, very real opportunity to run the table and make the playoffs this year as like a 10 to 12 seed. Likely.
And I think like opening at 15 is a really potentially
well,
huge
if we win
opportunity.
our conference, I don't know if we'd be like 10 to 12, but you get what I'm saying. I don't think we would be a 1 to 4.
Yeah, right. Well, it just depends. And that's the other topic on here that I have is the perception of the ACC. We'll talk about in a second, but Florida State learned the hard way the perception of the ACC when it comes to the playoff.
There will be a difference with if we win the ACC opposed to Florida State and a Clemson winning the ACC because
correct. It's
exactly what Matt just said of us not being perceived as like a national brand and whatever. People are immediately going to put us, like I said, at like a 6 to an 8 likely.
Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Matt, a 1-loss Mississippi State.
I told you all the expansion to 12 is just an excuse to sneak 2 more 3-loss SEC teams in. Like that's all it is. That's what I'm worried about. Like we're going to be talking about a 3-loss Auburn team or something and be like, fuck, man, they're not one of the top. I mean,
people were talking about like a 3-loss
here.
LSU until like the last week or two of the season. Like,
yeah, which I mean, I would have probably liked. I mean, it wouldn't have been awful for them to be in. They had Malik Neighbors and Thomas and Jaden Daniels. I mean, I would have been fine with it.
Good thing this isn't live and you can edit that out.
Yeah. They definitely weren't one of the top 4 teams, but hey, you could have convinced me that they're probably better than. Never mind. Anyways, Florida State beat them, so never mind. That take wouldn't hold up anyways.
Exactly.
You're gonna get clipped, and they're gonna be killing you on.
Yeah, you talk long enough and you say something right. Not me. I'm the opposite of that. Anyways, Matt, go ahead. Sorry.
I just completely got my train of thought derailed. But I think realistically, I can see Louisville like chosen preseason, like maybe 4th, because I can see Florida, Clemson being 1 or 2, 1 and 2. I can see some people sneaking in Miami or NC State in front of Louisville to maybe bump them down to 5. But I think like 4 or 5 isn't outrageous.
Yeah.
Anything below that, and I'm like, okay, what are you basing this off of?
North Carolina bias, right? I mean, you got to always slot Louisville 1 slot lower than what you would put them at.
The North Carolina tax.
Right.
How much,
North Carolina tax is exactly.
How much more you talk about that and we laugh, but how much more is Duke going to be talked about and, glamorized as a football school?
Yeah.
Whenever they just hired.
Well, not anymore because they just lost like everyone.
Yeah. Their quarterback was picked. Yeah, right. Malik Murphy Malik Murphy might actually be like much better than what he's rated, but he was the 13th best quarterback. So
there's no way he's the 13th best. Like he's much better than that.
Yeah. Gosh, man, there's some bad quarterbacks in the ACC. Holy cow.
Where's Thomas Castellanos ranked?
He is actually, I was just looking at that. He's 14th. And then you have 14th? Ashton Daniels from Stanford. I'm not familiar with him at all. I don't know much about Stanford. I know they've really plummeted since David Shaw left.
That's all.
David Shaw's not the coach there anymore, right? He's
okay. I thought so. Canned.
Yeah. So and then you got Hank Bachmeier from Boise State at Wake Forest. I think he also played at. I think he played at Louisiana Tech also maybe. And then the last one was Nate Yarnell from Pitt. I've never heard of him. It's gonna be terrible this year.
That's all. Finally, he's only the starting QB because Christian Veilleux entered the portal at the end of spring.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. Okay. See, that's the information I didn't know. All right. Last thing here, just with this all kind of flows together, but the perception of the ACC, as I was reading, there's an article out right now about the coaches and everybody being in spring meetings and really trying to kind of collectively shout our conference is better than what you get credit for. Obviously Clemson has fallen a little bit. Florida State has risen back up to where they kind of were. Miami, we talk about them every year being in the top of the echelon, and ACC, sometimes even the country, and they always fall like fart noise right on their face. So it's really interesting. North Carolina obviously is not going to be what they've been with Drake May, and some of the other schools that have been good in the conference are going to kind of take steps back. But for me this year, like 12 teams in the playoff, conferences are starting to kind of go in and pick who they want. Like, we want to get this team, this team, this team. So for these schools, for the ACC to not, if the ideal situation is for the ACC to stay together this year, these games are of the utmost importance. NC State, Tennessee. NC State needs to beat Tennessee, right? Clemson, Georgia, week 1. I for the first time might be rooting for Clemson. Like, I would love to see Clemson win that game. I don't think they will. I know Georgia's really damn good. Get the quarterback, back in. There's a lot to really like about that team. They go fast. We'll see.
I don't see Clemson having.
You're making my skin crawl, Jacob.
I know. Sorry. What, you don't like that, Joe?
Lose.
No, just the thought of cheering for Clemson.
I have to though. I want the ACC. I want to be all ACC this year. Like, let's go.
Can we just hope that FSU and Miami just absolutely dog walk Florida just to boost the record?
Yes, I'm ready to see Billy Napier run out of town in Florida, in Gainesville down there. But you have FSU in Florida, Louisville, Kentucky. Obviously, I want to freaking dog walk the shit out of them. And then you got Miami, Florida, and California, and Auburn. Low key, underrated.
That's
game
a stinker of a game, right?
Terrible.
That's gonna be sickos football right there.
I forget somebody opens with Vanderbilt week 1. I don't remember who it is, and I just didn't write it down because I was like, I think it's Virginia Tech maybe opens with Vanderbilt. I'm like, I feel like they'll probably win.
Best part is you still get to put beat an SEC school on whatever graphic at the end of the year.
Exactly right. But look, man, this is the most important season maybe ever in ACC football history. They have got to have.
It is Virginia Tech.
Thank you. 4 or 5 teams in the top 25 for most of the year, and at least 2 or 3 competing for the ACC playoff, and then the college football playoff. I mean, it's not going to happen, but like, I would love to see a scenario where Florida State and Louisville both get in. I don't think there is a scenario where Clemson and both get in, just because of the fact that they'll have to play each other during the season. But I would love to see 2 ACC schools. I don't know if it's Miami. I don't know if it's NC State. Maybe Georgia Tech has a miracle run.
I mean, like you said, these games that you listed right here. I mean, I could realistically see NC State beating Tennessee, FSU beating Florida, Miami and Florida. Could be a toss-up. I don't know what either one of those schools are looking like. I know Billy Napier. We've shit on Billy Napier.
Miami's super talented, and Florida is terrible. So
Florida is maybe one of the worst teams in the SEC this season.
And Cal and Auburn. I mean, I could see Cal beating Auburn. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know anything about Cal, but maybe. Let's go. Let's go Golden Bears, baby. The fighting Jack Plumbers in here. Let's go.
Exactly. That's about all I know about them.
The fighting Aaron Rodgerses.
Yeah, the fighting. No, I choose to identify that school with Jack Plummer. We're gonna keep it there for him. So, all right. Well, that'll wrap the show up this week. Just an abbreviated show. Kept it under an hour. Let's go. We don't do that very often. I know. We're keeping it short. I got podcasts to get to, guys, so I have to keep it short here.
Sorry, guests. We're getting big time by Jacob Lane right now. You can follow the show on Twitter and all the social medias and follow us all, like you said earlier. But I guess we're out. Bye.
All right, we'll catch you all soon on Pink Seats Podcast. Jacob Lane, Matt McGavick, Vincent Lococo, at Pink Seats Pod, at The State of Lou on YouTube. Until next time, go Cards.